After a roller coaster of a season for Linus Ullmark and the Ottawa Senators goaltending, Steve Staios had to go out and make some sort of move. And the move he did make may be a lot better than a lot of people originally thought. Hello everyone, I am Eoghan Drumm, and welcome to Senators Digest, where we talk all things Ottawa Senators. Today we are going to get into the move that Steve Staios made this offseason to add to the goaltending room for the Ottawa Senators, and whether this will allow Linus Ullmark to put a full season together. But before we get into anything, please go down and hit that subscribe button. It helps the channel out a bunch and allows you to stay up to date with Senators Digest content. So let's get into the move that was made by Steve Staios to add to the goaltending room, which was made about a month ago, I guess, to this point. So on June 26th, the Ottawa Senators acquired goaltender Samuel Ersson from the Toronto Maple Leafs for a 2027 fifth-round pick. Obviously, the Leafs traded for Ersson in exchange for Joseph Woll as part of that trade. And then the Senators acquired Ersson just a few days after that trade. And then with the Senators acquiring Ersson, they then had the rights to re-sign him as he was an RFA and negotiate a new contract. And then just a few days later, on July 1st, which was the opening of free agency, Elliotte Friedman reported that Ersson and the Senators had agreed to a 2-year, $2.2 million contract. So, the Senators do have a new backup goalie, backup goalie that does have NHL experience compared to last year where their NHL goalie was Leevi Meriläinen, who had a small stint in the season prior to last season, but he really could not get into his footing last season. He struggled mightily. And Ersson has had some good seasons. We can take a look at his stats here we'll start with last year. Last year wasn't exactly the greatest season for Ersson. So we see here 14 wins and 11 losses and only 33 games played. You know, nothing crazy there. An .870 save percentage, not what you want to see at all. .312 goals against average, not great, but, you know, he has had some good seasons as well. If we go to his full career statistics, he had that one season in 2023-24 where he started 51 games, started 49 games, played 51 games, and won 23 of them with an .890 save percentage and a .282 goals against average. .282 goals against average, you'll take that any day in today's NHL. Normally anything below 3 is the area you want to be at. And when he first entered the league as well, he only played 12 games, but he had a .899 save percentage, just under 900, and a .307 goals against average. So he has had some good stints. It's just really been recently where he's been struggling. He just hasn't really gotten into a groove since he's been called up in 2022. Then last year, Dan Vladar got the majority of the starts for the Flyers, where he played great. Then Ersson really was left out in the backup situation. The Flyers didn't really have much of a use for him at that point, which is why they ended up trading him for Joseph Woll. So hopefully Ersson can do something with the Senators, kind of rejuvenate himself, because, you know, they need it. Ullmark is obviously the main guy here in Ottawa, but last year he really had an up and down season. He didn't start great at all, and then took a leave of absence for about 2 months, and then when he came back, he really picked up his game. As we see here, last year, ended up having 28 wins on 49 games played. Take that any day, especially with the situation that went on last year with Ullmark. An .891 save percentage, which, you know, was about league average last year, but it was a lot worse, and then he was able to really boost it up there by the end. And 273 goals against average, which, again, anything below that 3 is somewhere that I like to see, especially with how the Senators play. If Senators goalies can allow, on more nights than not, 3 goals or less, then normally they're in a good position to win. And Ullmark has had a lot of good seasons. Obviously, the one highlight is in 2022-23, where he ended up winning the Vezina Trophy. That is the year the Bruins went on their crazy regular season run and ended up getting the record. So he started 48 games that year and 40 wins. He's never started more than 50 games, however. Last year was the closest he ever got with 49, and that's even with everything that went on. He still started 49 games, but he's never cracked that 50 start mark, and that is an area he has to get to, I believe, for the Senators to have success. He needs to start at least 50 games. You don't want Ersson playing too much because he is inconsistent. So if Ullmark can really lock in, get off to a good start right away, then it can ease the load off of Ersson, and then they can go on a run. When Senators had league average goaltending last year, they were one of the best teams in the NHL. That's just the way they play. They don't give up much, but when goals were going in from the corners and just weak shots from the circles, it really put them in tough situations a lot of nights. I actually want to take a look at how just the overall goaltending picture looked last year for the Senators, because let me tell you, it was messy. So obviously we have Ullmark there as the number one. He ended up being the best goaltender as he is. And then we had Meriläinen, who like I said, he struggled. Only an .860 save percentage, .351 goals against average. Not what you want to see at all. Only 8 wins, 10 losses. And then they picked up James Reimer, and he actually, he put up some good games for them. He really allowed Ullmark to take some rest days by the end of the season. And again, like the way the Senators play, they don't give up much, and they were able to give Reimer a lot of help there. Mads Søgaard started 2 games, and Hunter Shepard as well started. Out of this list of goaltenders here, only 2 of them remain. We have Ullmark and Meriläinen still in the organization system. Reimer, Søgaard, and Shepard have all departed the Ottawa Senators organization. So when you look at that, you obviously don't want to be having 5 goaltenders start in a NHL season. Like I said, they still have Meriläinen, so if by any chance injuries do occur, he can come up and hopefully he's able to put everything together a little bit more than last year. I think Meriläinen starting Belleville will really help him, because last year he was, I think, just a little overwhelmed starting the Senators on the opening day roster. So being back in the AHL, less of a hectic environment for him, he can really lock in. And if by any chance he does have to be called up by his Senators, hopefully not. Hopefully Ullmark and Ersson can stay healthy, but obviously injuries do occur. He can come up, he can play the games he has to, and yeah, I think if the Senators can get that league average goaltending from Ullmark and Ersson, if Ersson can really pick up his play again this season, they'll be in a good spot to really go far and push for a playoff spot and maybe even go deep in the playoffs. We saw it in the playoffs. Ullmark played outstanding. He was easily the best player in that series for the Senators, not even close. And he gave him a chance to win. For probably 3 out of the 4 games, the Senators did not deserve to be any of those games. With the exception of Game 2, all the other ones, Ullmark's really the only reason that the series looked close on paper. So again, Ullmark, if he can put everything together, get over 50 starts, and have Ersson lock in his game for 25 to 30 starts for this upcoming season, I think the Senators will be in a great spot to push for one of those Atlantic playoff spots, if I'm being completely honest. Maybe that Swedish connection between Ullmark and Ersson can really help them. They're both Swedish, obviously, and I don't know. I'm sure they know each other, so hopefully maybe something there can unlock Ersson. And Ersson has had success for Team Sweden at the World Championships, so there is some positive there. He does have skill. It's just a matter of getting there. He's done it before with the Flyers. Can he do it with the Senators next season? That is the question that remains, and it'll be interesting to see how it all unfolds this upcoming season. So that is all I got for you today. Please leave your comments down below if you think the Ersson edition is a good one, or if you think next season could be all the same story as last year for the goaltending. And please, again, hit that subscribe button and stay connected to Senators Digest content. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I will see you all next time.